Foundation Community Call for April. As you know, these meetings are recorded for offline viewing, and we're in the process of putting those together with YouTube so that you can go back and review those at any time. With that, Kevin, do we have the agenda? So today we're going to go through a number of key updates. We're going to tell you a bit about what's happening with the seating of the new board of directors that's member-driven. We'll give you a quick update. Terry and Peter will give us an update on the version 1.2 developments and the outcomes of the recent hackathon in London. Rudy will also tell us a little bit about the launch plan for the version 1.2. We're getting pretty excited about that. We'll talk to you a little bit about the upcoming events. As you all know, BioIT World is coming up at the end of this month. We have a number of activities associated with that, including the first meeting of our new board of directors. There will be a community meeting held at Deloitte and a number of other events. We'll also give you a quick update on future events, including the face-to-face community meeting that we'll be doing in the fall. Finally, we'll end up with a presentation from one of our member companies. The group from the Hive will tell us a little bit about a project they've been working on to integrate Spotfire with Transmark. And then finally, as we always do, we'll end up with any questions and comments from the community. So please hang out till the end, and we'll activate questions. You can either put questions in the message box or raise your hand, and we can activate your mic, and you can make comments or ask questions. Next slide, Kevin. Is this where you were going to take it over as secretary, Kevin?
Yes, so I will take over. Thank you, Keith. So as Keith mentioned, and as we have shared on previous community calls, the foundation is working to put in place a number of member-driven activities. And as part of that, we are currently in the process of electing a new board of directors made up of foundation members. These members will come from our gold class of members, bronze, as well as affiliate members. And so currently we are in the process of electing 2 members to the board of directors from the bronze class. I think as we have communicated previously, we have 7 organizations, as you see listed on the screen: AssureRx, Cognizant, the Hive, Institute for Systems Biology, Johns Hopkins, OneMind for Research, and Sama Technologies that are eligible to nominate a member from their organization to participate at the board level. So we're in the process of electing 2 board members according to the foundation bylaws to the board that will meet soon. And we have a outstanding list of nominees as candidates for the 2 board positions. They come from the bronze member organizations, and they include Kees van Bosche from the Hive, Jim Burns from AssureRx, Jeff Grethy from OneMind for Research, Lee Hood, who is at the Institute for Systems Biology and is serving on the current board of directors, Ken Pienta at Johns Hopkins University, as well as Samya Srinivasan from Cognizant. And so the current process is to have this election completed this Friday and extend opportunities for the bronze members to participate in the upcoming board meeting on April 29th. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Peter Rice from Imperial College London and Terry Weymouth at University of Michigan to give us an update on the 1.2 Transmart release. Terry, Peter.
Hello, everybody. So we had a fine turnout in London for the second hackathon, or CodeFest if you don't like the hack word, but we like to call them hackathons. where we all get together and just spend 3 days sitting in a room hacking at the code, beating it into shape, basically. Can we have the next slide, please? So yeah, so we call it the Hackathon or the Code Fest. There are a number of aims for the second one. The first was to fix up issues with the code that we created in the first hackathon in Boston, where we merged in most of the branches. So a number of bug fixes and issues there that we worked on together. We were working on merging in the Sanofi RC2 branch, which is now essentially complete. So we have currently 2 branches, one for the Sanofi RC2 and one for the code from Boston, which we're bringing together. We also have the Hives implementation of their interfaces in the Sanofi branch, and we're now freezing features, so we don't plan to put anything new into release 1.2. We will carry on with this code and make this into the release. So we had 3 days last week, Tuesday to Thursday. There's a list of attendees coming up. Next slide, please. So from Imperial, we had myself, Florian, Axel, and Xijin, and Yanis. Terry joined us from Michigan, and Zach was on hand in Michigan to help out. We had Gustavo and Ward from the Hive, and Ruslan, who couldn't get a visa but was working from the Netherlands. Amy similarly was working from Pfizer. We had Charlotte from Sanofi in France. We had Mike McDuffie from Harvard, who I gather was on his first trip to the UK, so hope you had a good time, Mike. And from the Foundation, Terry and UK were there, and Keith was available to help out. So a pretty good coding team there, and people with expertise in all the branches that we were trying to merge together. It was very, very productive. So we now have 2 servers set up for the code branches we're working on. There were 32 commits of code changes during the hackathon. We identified a number of other issues. A lot of those were fixed during the hackathon, and the others are in the tracking system ready to go. Next slide, please. So for the Sanofi branch, we've managed to get a merge of the Sanofi and the current master branch from the Hive, so that will all go into the release. We're able to launch it and log in on Postgres, but we're working on the data model and getting that ported from Oracle so we can do real things with it. But we also have an Oracle database set up for testing so that we can check that any changes we make won't break what was working before. Sanofi RC2 features a very nicely streamlined user interface. The search facilities are very nice. Much easier actions and properties. It's clearer for the users to use. There are some issues in merging that in with the data models and the way the current interface works, but I think they're probably not going to be so bad from what I've seen since the hackathon. So I'm sure we can tackle those. We'll be working hard on them.
Muted.
Next slide, please.
Unmuted.
So we're also working on the code from the first hackathon in Boston. Most of the features are now working, or very close to working. It features, there are some slides on these, a workspace tab for saving and reapplying queries, cross-Tara features for common features across trials, and there's a faceted search in there, which needs a little bit more work to clean up. We have several faceted searches to put together, but that's in there. Next slide, please. We set up a wiki page that Ward's been working on to report on what was happening during the hackathon, and also to put the post-hackathon task list of things we need to do, links to what's going on. So if you go to the Foundation's wiki page, go to the hackathons, and then to the Imperial Hackathon, you'll find information will continue appearing there after the hackathon with updates of what's going on. That'll be the best place for developers to communicate what we're up to. Next slide, please. So we have 2 testing servers which were contributed by British Telecom. One of them is looking after the code from the Boston Hackathon, and that's number 64. Confusingly, number 46 is looking after the code from Sanofi RC2 branch. There's a login required on that one, but the username and password are there. And they're the ones we're going to use for further testing. This is just a quick update of the feature list that we had from the Paris face-to-face community meeting. Up to now it said in progress for the status on some of these things that were in the Sanofi RC2 branch. They're all flagged as done, and they're now going into the code base. That's the only change on that slide. Terry, do you want to take over for the screenshots?
Sure. So this is going to be a gallery of screenshots taken from the 2 testing servers. We'll look at the across trial browser, the workspace, and filters from and metadata from the Sanofi branch. Next slide. So this new version introduces a cross-trial browser which automatically amalgamates common elements. So here's an example. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of test data that has common elements, but you can see here that the gender indication and the age indication were common to 2 studies. They get amalgamated and they can be used in the query just like any other collection indication. Next slide. This version introduces workspaces. This shows an example of a query, and there's a new Save Subset button which allows you to name the subset. Next slide. And having done that, then the subset appears in this workspace panel, and it can be reapplied, reused, emailed out, saved, reviewed, and that kind of stuff. Next slide. In addition, on the left here we have a new filter panel, and on the right we have a metadata editing system where you can create folders and add studies to them and annotate analyses. And that's the end of the slide of the screenshot set. Thank you. So Peter, you want to take over again?
Yeah, I'll take over again. So there's various things we need to do between now and release. We're still working on the final merging of the Boston and the London Hackathon or Sanofi RC2 branches, which we're working on this week and next week over Easter. We'll be putting up a list of follow-up tasks on the wiki for those. We need to be testing the Sanofi code on Postgres, so we're getting the database set up on Postgres for doing that by setting up a mirror, and we can carry on using the Oracle database as a benchmark that things are still working. We'll keep one of our 2 test servers as a stable one so that we can start demonstrating features in 1.2, and we'll keep the other one for continuously testing the latest merged code. So we hope there'll be something people can look at, and as functionality appears and is stable, you'll be able to continue to see it working, and we can add new things as we go and announce updates to the more stable server. And extending the testing, we got some very nice test scripts from Sanofi for their RC2 branch, and we'll add those to our test scripts, which will be very helpful for the release. Next slide, please. So we'll also be testing and bug fixing the features that Terry presented on the screenshots, and testing through the Sanofi RC2 features. There's a summary list there of the things we need to go through. And Terry and I are working on those, and we'll be documenting those over Easter. Next slide, please. So we're carrying on merging the code. We need to get public data and find somewhere to put it to demonstrate and test the new features. So we have examples for all the Sanofi RC2 features, and we have some public data sets to go in there. We need to extend the testing that we have automated there, that we do on our continuous integration server, to test more features and make sure we ensure stability after the release. And then we need to work on a release notes description of all the key features in 1.2 and work on the documentation for the release. I think, is there another slide? No. Was that for the hackathon? Did you have anything to add, Terry?
No, I think that's fine. Thanks, Peter.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent.
I'll just interject really quickly. This is Keith. I think the team did a fantastic job of bringing a lot of the objectives for version 1.2 forward, in the London CodeFest event. The next thing that we'll be doing, and it's coming in our upcoming events, is the Testathon. I just want to point out that the foundation has been working, diligently to sponsor and to bring people together for these events. And while we had some very nice sponsors for the Boston event, the foundation, working with Imperial College, put on the event in London. But if any groups out there would like to help sponsor some of these events in the future and would certainly like to participate, we're very open to that. But these events, I think, are turning out to be incredibly successful. And I'd like to thank Peter and Terry for the efforts that they put in helping organize these, and all the developers that have participated and traveled to participate in those events. So, Kevin, let me give it over to you again.
Thank you, Keith. Rudy from the foundation will take us to the next part of today's call, sort of reviewing upcoming events. Rudy? Are you there, Rudy?
Hi, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah,
here. Next slide. So I'd like to go through some of the upcoming events that we have scheduled. First of all, these calls, the Foundation monthly community calls, are scheduled through November, and the dates are listed here. It's the third Tuesday each month. Next slide. So coming up, we've got a lot of activities at BioIT World in Boston at the end of this month, and I will go through some of those with you in a few minutes. We do have a testathon scheduled for mid-May, going through the 1.2 code and doing the final testing and bug fixing. We are working on launch events scheduled to happen during the week of June 23rd. Here we're envisioning a set of activities focused probably at least at 2 sites at the University of Michigan and Imperial College. We will have introduction of the new features, discussion of the capabilities, some tutorials and some training sessions, and some use cases that we're pulling together, and there'll be more about that soon. The J&J Hackathon is being rescheduled to make way so that we can really put our energy and focus on the launch events that we're planning. In July, there's ISMB in Boston, which we'll be participating. And then in October, there's the face-to-face community meeting. I'm just going to go a little bit of detail of each of these quickly. Next slide. At BioIT World, we have a lot of activity. As you can see here, we've got the Foundation board meeting scheduled. We have the 3C committee meetings set up. We are running a pre-conference workshop. We have several foundations, both by the foundation and also members talking about the platform. And then we have a community meeting scheduled. I have a little more detail of each of these here. The board meeting will take place on Tuesday morning, April 29th. And then the 3C meetings will be held during the day on Wednesday. Next slide. Pre-conference workshop, we've got a couple-hour workshop being set up with a number of speakers. Keith, DK will be talking about the technology. Sherry Cow from Sanofi, Paula Vielek from Harvard, and Brian Appy, all covering a number of different topics. And more details will be are available at the BioIT World site, where you can also register for the event. And we have sponsors for that. I'd like to acknowledge from BP Global Services, IDBS, Gene Data, and Gigaspaces. Next slide. At the conference itself, we've got a number of talks, which I've listed here. These will all be in the deck that you can review later that we're posting up on our website. And you can see, again, not only descriptions of the foundation and some of the things that we're doing, but also actual use of the system in the platform by a number of members. Next slide. We will be having a community meeting. This will be a face-to-face meeting on the evening of Wednesday evening, April 30th. It's kindly being hosted by Convergence Health by Deloitte for us, and at that meeting we will focus in on version 1.2, some of the features. We will be talking about the release planning and do some demonstrations, and certainly anybody who's at BioIT World or in the Boston area more than welcome to come, and you can register for the event at our Edinburgh site. Next slide. We're then working on our face-to-face community meeting. After an outstanding meeting in Paris last year, we're putting a lot of energy in our next annual meeting. We really anticipate this to be the big main annual event each year where we bring together the community and have a lot of chance for a lot of face-to-face discussions and activity. This will be modeled after the Paris meetings. If you haven't looked at those videos, there's a lot of all the talks are up on YouTube, I believe. It is organized by the foundation, and we're talking to a number of our members to work through who will host it and pull this meeting together. Again, it's something that we think is an important event for the foundation, and we hope we get a very strong participation by the community. I think that might be it. Kevin? Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Rudy. So the last scheduled component of our community meeting today is a presentation that will come from one of our member organizations, and it is around some exploratory work that has been done to integrate Spotfire with Transmart. We understand that there are many organizations out across the community that have an interest in this. And so as sort of an introduction to the presentation that will be made today by the Hive, we want to remind our community that the foundation makes time available to its member organizations on calls like this to present on open source, open data projects to really raise awareness about what is going on across the community. Today, we are privileged to have Yannicki from the Hive, who will present work that the Hive has been doing with PerkinElmer and with J&J to integrate Transmart and Spotfire. And again, the project is exploratory. It is not yet integrated with version 1.2 and not yet available on GitHub. So with that introduction, what I'd like to do is turn this over to the Hive to walk us through a set of slides and the work that is being done on this important capability. Good job. So Ward, I believe you should be unmuted. Are you actually doing the presentation today?
Thank you, Rudy. Can you hear me correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I would like to give a small introduction about the broader picture here, if you don't mind. I'll give it over to Yannick in a minute. So what I would like to say is that the Transmart Spotfire connection is a great example of a larger part of work that we've been doing here, which is the REST API for Transmart. First off, I would like to start with saying that this is work that we've done in Etrix, which is kindly contributed by Johnson as their contribution to Etrix. And the goal of the REST API here is to facilitate an app ecosystem around Transmart. So Transmart will not be a standalone system, but all kind of applications can hook into Transmart, which will of course make the platform much more attractive in a broader sense. And Jonathan and Anthony from Janssen will present a poster about this on BioIT World, so please visit that too. So the Spotfire integration is one nice example. Other parts we've done, we've also adapted the R interface that was already developed to work with this REST API, and also some other applications like Muljanus. For now, the REST API, in the examples you will see from Janneke, only works with clinical data, but the high-dimensional data part is just about finished. So we'll work with also PerkinElmer from Spotfire, but also the R interface to support this in the coming 2 weeks. Then I would like to hand it over to Janneke to give the representation on Spotfire integration. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. My name is Janneke Schoots, and I have been attending the Transmart Spotfire Hackathon, which was held and hosted by PerkinElmer at the beginning of this month. And I would like to show you the results that we have been achieved in only a couple of days. It was a successful collaboration, I would say, where we had people from Johnson, Jonathan was there from PerkinElmer, Daniel Weaver, and then 3 developers from the Spotfire, and we as the Hive were present there as well. And actually I'm going to show you a short demo made up of screenshots which shows you from start to end what we've been achieved in integrating Spotfire with Transmart. So if you go to the next slide, you will see an opening screen of Spotfire. And there are several ways to load data into Spotfire. And what we've been doing is adding an extra data source which allows users to select data from a Transmart instance. The next 2 slides show you actually how you could start the Transmart data source wizard, I would say. So in here you can see the dialog box which shows you an additional data source, open from, and then you can see the Transmart data source. In the next slide you will see that, and there you can see also that when you are running a certain visualization from a visualization template in Spotfire, you can then reload the data set, and when it loads into Spotfire it will be immediately loaded in this visualization template. So next to the development work that we've been doing during this hackathon, we also focused on the visualization part. So we sat together identifying what would be the summary statistics, so to say, which users now perform in Transmart, which could be used in Spotfire as well once you've loaded a study into Spotfire. I will show you that at the end, how that would look like. First, I would like to show you the different steps to get the data into Spotfire. So if you go to the next slide, this is what pops up once you selected the data source of Transmart. So in here you can provide the URL of a running Transmart instance. In this case it is a testing instance. And once you hit list studies, you go to the next slide. The authentication process is started, and this is using the OAuth protocol. So if you click here, it will redirect you to a web browser, and then if you're not logged in into Transmart, you need to provide the credentials to log in. Once you've done that, you will end up in this screen, and you have to authorize the client to access the Transmart data. Then you will be provided with the token, which you can paste in the Spotfire dialog. Next slide, please. And once you put that token in, you'll finish the authentication process. In this box, you will see on the left panel, you see the study IDs in the Transmart instance that I'm allowed to see. And on the right side, you see all the concepts for which there are data in this specific study that is selected. And what we've been adding lately is you'll be able to filter the data that you want to have into Spotfire by the concepts. So if you unselect all the concepts on the right side, you'll just get the whole study data. But now you can also say, okay, I'm only interested in this subset of the concepts. So you can make a sub-selection. And in this case, I only selected the clinical data, as the high-dimensional data is one of the next steps actually that we've been identified after the hackathon. So this is work in progress. In this case, I only selected the clinical data. Next slide, please. Here you see the loading of the data. And in the next 2 slides, which will be the last part, this gives you an idea of the preliminary visualization template that we've been built based on the usage of Transmart as a start. Of course, the reason why you would download, get the data into Spotfire is to go beyond all the visualization and the analytics that are provided in Transmart right now. But this serves as a basis as what you would like to start with once you have the data in Spotfire. On the top left, you'll see an introduction which explains you for how many subjects we found any data in the Transmart instance. And this is an interactive number. You cannot see it in the screenshot, but the 58 is actually built up of the unique count of subjects that have been found in the data. And that holds for concepts as well. So Spotfire actually allows you to configure basically everything. But in this case, we use that to build a nice interface showing you what data is loaded. On the right side, you will recognize the sex and age distribution, which you find in the summary statistics of Transmart. And then on the lower pane, you will see 3 parts which are connected, which is interactive. On the left side, you will see a list of concepts, and by clicking these concepts, the pie chart in the middle will adapt to the selection you made, as is the table on the right side. So the table on the right side shows the individual data points, which shows a unique subject on every row. So these 3 are interconnected. And then on the last slide, this is the second visualization which we've been trying to build. You might know that in Transmart there's a line graph statistics where you'd be able to show concepts from different visits and show a line graph of the results, and we try to replicate that in here. The screenshot might not be very clear. This is a sparse data set, but at least it shows you what the capabilities are. I'm not sure how familiar you all are with the Spotfire suite, but it basically allows you to configure quite a lot. So I hope this gives you an idea of what we've been achieved in actually only 2.5 days. It was quite successful. It was very nice to be a part of it, and I think we at least have shown that we can do a lot by putting the right people together. So this is what I would like to share with you. Yeah, this last part is just to give you an idea of how this line graph would look like in Transmart.
Thank you, Janneke. Your presentation is very much appreciated. And as the community has questions, you see that Janneke's email is listed here on the screen, and by all means reach out to the Hive for more information as you have interest. So with that, we will turn to the questions and comments section of our meeting today. And so we've done that. So we'll open this up right now. So if you have questions, please indicate that in the chat or question window, and we'll work to sort of address those.
I think while we're waiting for questions, Kevin, I'd just like to thank Yannicka for the nice presentation. One of the things that we really like to do at the foundation is help bring people together to do new and interesting things and explore the space around the platform. And I think this is a really good example of ways to do that. I think if other groups would like to present some of what they're working on, we open up this forum to any of the member companies to give a quick presentation on ideas or concepts. I know one of these times I'm going to rope Sherry Cow into talking about a few ideas that she has and wants to bring to the community. And we'll keep working on that as well. But this is a forum, I think it's a very important one for our community. And if people would like to contribute something, please let Kevin know. Send an email there, and we'll review that. We'd like to have at least a week's notice so we can review things and make sure that they're appropriate for the forum. But I encourage people to get in touch with us and share with us the kinds of things that they're doing and bring it to the broader community. I see a question here from Lart. Has anyone been looking at integration of Transmart and Seed Bio Portal? That's a good question. I think I've heard a few things about that. Kevin, do you know anything on this?
No.
Does anyone in the community want to raise their hand?
I'm not aware, but we can certainly follow up offline from today's call and update the community.
Well, if anyone has any information on that, raise your hand and we can give you the mic here, give you the floor.
Integration with what?
The Seed Bio Portal, Brian? Yeah, I don't see anybody raising their hand, so we'll look into that and see if we can have some information for the next call. But I don't know about that.
I'll ask Mark Musin about it. He's been emailing me back and forth today. So currently there is not an effort that I'm aware of to do that, but it would be something that would be very valuable because it would bring over 250 curated ontology services to Transmart. And so it's a very good question, and we'll follow up and see what it would take to do that.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Any other questions there? Anyone have any announcements or things they'd like to make the community aware of? We'd be happy to bring you on board. I will take the time to let people know that we're pretty excited about bringing the board together. One of the things I'd like to say is the existing board of the foundation has really helped us through the first year of standing up the foundation, maybe move forward, etc. Brian Athey and Michael Braxton-Thaler have served both in the management team and on the board of directors. But also Lee Hood from the Institute for Systems Biology, Christoph Brockel from Pfizer and Pistoia, and importantly Gil Oman from University of Michigan have also served quite well for us on the board as we've stood this up. As we go into the BioIT World meeting, we'll be seating our new member-driven board. It's been driven by our membership program. I think as Kevin said, we have six new gold members and 7 new bronze members and a large number of affiliate members as well. And we'll be bringing that new board together to really form the basis for driving the foundation forward as it continues to grow and become the center of this community. I encourage any of you that will be in Boston to come and attend the meetings that we have ongoing there, particularly the BioIT World Pre-Conference Workshop and the community meeting on the 30th. And certainly the board meeting, if any members are interested in joining that, please let me know. And we can accommodate people as we can with that as well. Let me see if there's any new questions. I don't see any new questions. I don't see any new hands raised here. Kevin, do we have anything else that we'd like to cover today?
No, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. As you've already indicated, and I'll just emphasize again, we have a lot of activity organized around BioIT World, and we're looking forward to as many community members as possible to take part in those. And just remind folks that for the pre-conference workshop and also for the community meeting that Converge Health by Deloitte is hosting, we will, the foundation will offer remote participation capabilities using our GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar capabilities, and so we'll provide that information out to the community through our normal communication channels.
Yeah, and I think in addition, an important aspect of community involvement here will be the first formal meetings of the 3C committees, the code, the community, the content. Brian Athey, our CSO, has been working with Simone Ocheron from Thomson Reuters on the content committee, Ike Guo working with Jay Bergeron as co-chairs of the code committee, and Kevin Smith, our secretary and community manager for North America, and Sherry Cow from Sanofi have been working to organize the efforts around the community committee. These three committees will be meeting during the day on the 30th. We secured a conference room at the event for this, and I would encourage people that want to be engaged in either the 3C committees in establishing the missions, the goals, the objectives, and also informing the various working groups that will be formed within these committees to get involved. And to remind you that the governance model for the foundation is that these three committees will be making regular recommendations to the board of directors for various initiatives and strategic approaches that we'll be taking as a foundation. So if you want to be involved and engaged, that's really one of the best ways to be involved and engaged, and I encourage people to attend those. And if you can't attend those in person, we certainly will make available means to participate remotely, and Kevin will help with people that will have that interest. So again, I encourage people to get involved there. It'll be quite a series of events here at the BioIT World, and I hope everyone can participate. I think with that, Kevin, I don't see any more questions. I'm scanning this again. I don't see any hands raised. Why don't we go ahead and bring the meeting to a close. I'd like to thank everyone for the attending and for their attention. Look forward to seeing many of you at the BioIT World, and we'll see all of you at our community call next month. So thank you again for attending.